Hi everyone, this is Robin, and today we're going to be doing a reading about your greatest achievements and the timeline for these achievements. So it can cover, the said timeline can cover the arc of your life and the entirety of it. But we're going to at least attempt to get more specific timing as far as at least major progression with said achievements. So when you can expect that glow up and you can feel like you've achieved something that you have been or will have been working on for a long time as kind of like a magnum opus, or at least a magnum opus, like a great work, or at least part of the great work that you're here to do in this life. So I've selected here 3 different tarot decks, and you can choose pile 1, pile 2, or pile 3, and then skip forward to the reading for the pile that you chose. I also gave you color pencils to help you choose. We have a pink one, a light pink. We have a light purple. And then we have a teal blue-green. And I'm going to let my cat into the room while you choose, because otherwise she's just going to meow the whole time. So go ahead and choose. Come inside, baby. All right. The kitty is inside, and hopefully by now you have chosen which deck you'd like to receive a reading from. And I will see you in the next section with your reading. Thank you. Hi, pile 1. If you chose the Medieval Scapini tarot deck, I had to reference it. I had to look at the box. I was like, what was it called again? I've had it for a long time. I've just not used it in a while. So if you chose the Medieval Scapini tarot deck and the light pink color for pile 1, then this will be your reading. So let's start by shuffling and ask, well, the Lovers is upright, so I wonder if that has anything to do with your reading. I don't remember the last time I used this deck, and so I don't remember why. I don't remember why the Lovers was upright. But hey, maybe it's part of your reading, so we'll just kind of keep that in the back of our minds here. Let's see if I can riffle. Not quite. I've been practicing riffling, and I can do it with this deck, because the cardstock is good for it. That is the Personal Space Tarot. So I can do it with that one, but I can't riffle with every deck. It took me a very long time to learn how to riffle. Anyway, what is the timeline or the circumstances across the lifespan of pile 1's greatest achievements in life? Okay. Oh, we're going to start from the top. Okay. So, first we have the 10 of Wands, the King of Cups, the 7 of Swords, the Wheel of Fortune, the 4 of Cups, and the 3 of Wands. Let's actually just like move everything just a little bit up. All right. So these are your tarot cards. Now we're going to get 2 Lenormand and 2 Earthbound Oracle. Birds and Child. And for the Earthbound Oracle, let's take both of these just to see. All right. And illuminate. So, I feel like your greatest achievements in life will be becoming this King of Cups, where you accept yourself for every hardship that you ever had to go through, your endurance with this little donkey here, your endurance to go through it all, and even despite people that were lying in wait to judge you or to steal from you. These are like bandits hiding in the woods. So maybe you had a very long, hard road to get through, and you endured it for a very long time. You know, these people don't know that the bandits are going to be in the woods waiting for them to steal from their cart all of their possessions, but I feel like they are ready for any outcome. They're not expecting misfortune, but they're ready for it just in case. And maybe you had a lot of misfortune. Maybe you had a lot of difficulties to get through in life. Like maybe you came from an underprivileged background. Maybe with the advent of the internet and social media, maybe you very early on kind of became infamous accidentally by something on the internet. Maybe these are bullies, like cyberbullying, which is a very common problem. Um, Bullying used to happen. It still does, but bullying mostly was happening before the internet, like at school, um, and and by peers in a like physical material world way, in person. And now bullying has just gotten so much more insidious and has so much more access now. People that want to do others harm have so much more access now, to the ones that they want to harm. So I feel like one of your greatest achievements is becoming, despite all of this, becoming this King of Cups who is able to love and appreciate yourself, and to look back and to think, those bullies, those cyberbullies, those haters, those obstacles, even, they weren't about me. The situations or the actions that they took were not about me. It was about, if it was like environmental, the situations, it was about society. It was about how society is not structured for marginalized people. Thus why they are marginalized, that society disadvantages some people. Um, and that's not about your inherent worthiness, or it doesn't negate your inherent worthiness, even though even though there's a lot of societal social pressure to be perfect, and to be wealthy, and to be famous, and to be powerful, and it's in a very like individualistic, exploitative sense, which is what creates marginalization and oppression. So those things are not about you; they're about the system failing. Um, they're about where we need as people, as a society, to grow and to change and better the systems and better the structures, and or abolish them, make something new, whatever. But I'm not getting into all that. If it was about bullying, then maybe becoming this King of Cups, you realized, oh, they weren't bullying me because they could see some hidden secret truth that I'm bad. They were bullying me because they were insecure, and they secretly thought that they themselves were bad, and they were constantly pressuring themselves to prove to themselves and others, to prove to the group that they were not bad, that they were one of the in group, that they could toe the line, that they could be everything that was expected of them. And in order to do that, to soothe their own insecurity, they found a scapegoat, and that was unfortunately you. But as you can see, like there's these little hearts. You probably can't see it, but these little hearts on little bands of the legs of the King of Cups. And it's like, I think you have come to a place, or will, where you have I think it's Kellyanne Maddox that I am thinking of, who said a quote once about kissing your scars all the way down, um, in order to heal them. I'm not sure. I would have to look up who the quote is by, but I'm thinking that I probably heard it from Kellyanne Maddox at some point. But anyway, what it illustrates is that in order to come to this complete self-acceptance, you have faced, he's even looking this way, you've faced the past and what you've gone through, and you've realized, oh, I've always been okay. I've not like, always been happy, not always been, well, but I've always been good enough to exist. I've always been good enough to be worthy of love. And that's just sort of like a universal truth that it just came to you a very long time, maybe took you a long time to get to. Now, with this reversed Seven of Swords, it feels like Seven of Swords to me often is neurodivergence, because it's Seven of Swords is like cunning, and it's kind of going against the grain, and it's sometimes it's about masking, your true self a little bit, but that masking can happen just in order to not to take anything from anyone else, but just to protect yourself. So that happens a lot within neurodivergent people, and also a lot within the LGBTQ community, which also maybe suggests if you from a very young age presented traits of a neurodivergent person or a queer person, and other people noticed it about you, that could be where some of the bullying came from. But sometimes within both of these areas of life, both of like gender and sexuality, and then also neurodivergence, sometimes we are not always the first people to know this about ourselves. Sometimes other people can tell, which is really frustrating, because even whenever like a young person is trying very hard to fit in, or to be accepted, to be liked, you know, sometimes there's this feeling of like, what I don't understand what they see about me that is so different. And they're not correct in thinking that difference is bad. And nobody else has the right to tell you who you are. It's just kind of unfortunate that sometimes other people see things about us from the outside quicker than we see them internally about ourselves, and then sometimes can be very cruel about it, even if they don't know how to name it. They can just see, oh my god, that's different, and then it's different and therefore it's scary and we have to attack it, to preserve the group identity or the group image. Difference feels like a threat to someone who is deeply trying to fit in, and it's a real shame, because the Seven of Swords is innovation, right? Cunning, innovation, new ways of looking at the world, and that's what I saw here, is that you've got this Wheel of Fortune, and the Wheel of Fortune in this deck is actually blindfolded, and I think of like just new ways of looking at the world and integrating information maybe that other people don't necessarily come to easily. Maybe you notice things that other people don't, in this kind of weird mirroring or reverse effect, this irony, where people notice things about you and then they target you for bullying because of that, but you notice things about life and about the way the world works and about like maybe your own inner depths, or things that other people in polite society don't necessarily communicate to each other. Maybe you just kind of pick these things up naturally. Comes to you so much easier than other people. So having this unique perspective on the world is helpful, and it helps things go around. Diversity is it makes everything more sustainable. And I think that's what this is about, this illuminate here. I think you do notice things that other people don't. Um, and I think that also adds to, oh gosh, um, myself as being a neurodivergent person. Sometimes whenever I was younger, people would say that I was creepy, or like, ooh, you're so creepy. Why are you so creepy? And I've come to learn that whenever people say creepy, they mean either one of two things. They either mean that they don't know how to set a boundary with you. They maybe don't even know what that boundary is, so they're just kind of going, ew, get away from me. So they don't know how to set a boundary with you, or they don't they don't know how to understand you enough to connect with you, basically. And I'm not saying that, how do I phrase this? Because sometimes I'm not saying that neurodivergent people are exempt from acting in a way that is inappropriate. That's definitely not the case. So, like, if they're trying to set a boundary with someone by saying, oh, that's creepy, you have to kind of investigate what is it that they are objecting to? What is it that's making them uncomfortable? And is it your responsibility or is it theirs? Which is a very difficult road to navigate, especially sometimes for particular neurodivergences, especially whenever you're very young and the people don't really want to talk to you anyway, so you're not going to figure out a solution to the issue. But sometimes neurodivergent people can also come across as very intense. Um, you know, picking up information about the world that others are not, and then putting that information together, and then coming to conclusions that other people don't necessarily understand how you got from point A to point B, point A to point F. And let me look at some of the other cards here, because that's all about like neurodivergence. And Four of Cups, this poor little mermaid right here is crying. I think like you have on here, you have this one like child riding a dragon, and then this dragonfish thing is kind of like tired, and the mermaid on it is very sad. And I think that that's part of this experience of feeling different and not knowing how or why people are put off by you, and whether it's your fault or not. Like maybe you assume that it's your fault or something wrong with you, and that's not true. There's nothing wrong with you. And every person has their positive and their not so positive qualities. Like everybody has a mix of both. And if one of the problems of like intense, deep bullying, especially at a young age, is it can convince someone that nothing about them is worthwhile, nothing about them is positive. And that's so not true. It's always just kind of a mix of like, these are positive qualities about someone, and then these are maybe you could work on these things. Like there's always a balance. And if you've convinced yourself that you have no redeeming qualities, or if other people have convinced you that you have no redeeming qualities, that can lead you to be very lonely for a very long time, and to feel like maybe you didn't get to be a kid, maybe you didn't get to have fun, like you saw other people having fun, and you really wanted to like, go and be your glorious self, but You felt so like this is the mermaid crying is even a different kind of being than this child here with the wings. It's like, so this child with the wings is like, I don't understand why you can't fly. And this mermaid is like, I don't know. I can't fly. I don't know. Something's wrong. Like, no, you're just a mermaid, not a little angel cherub baby. Like, you're just you're just different. It's fine. You have different skills and different qualities. Um, Three of Wands here is, I think this is like constructing your narrative of self in a way. I think this is over time, one of your greatest achievements is taking back the narrative of your own life rather than letting other people tell you who you are and how to interpret yourself and the different things about you. You're, learning self acceptance, self love. You're learning about things that are relevant to your life. You're learning that you can see the world in a different perspective than other people and that that's valuable. And you're going back to these, like, to reframe these times when you were very lonely and you're thinking, oh, well, I was comparing myself to someone who had a very different skill set than me, and maybe not that you can't be friends with people that are very different from you. I think it's very valuable to be friends with people who are very different from you. But if you're constantly judging yourself against them for what they can do, instead of giving yourself credit for what you do best, that's a recipe for low self-esteem. So looking back, reclaiming the narrative of your life is like looking back at those times when you experienced disconnection and loneliness and thinking, oh, well, I can try something different now because I understand myself better. So now I can. So now I can. What were the words that I was going to use? I can learn how to make friends with people who are more like me and will kind of naturally understand me better and easier. And once I've made some friends that understand me a bit better, easier, and I feel more comfortable and I feel like I love myself easier, and I've come to peace and understanding and love and appreciation for all of the ways that I am, then I can branch out of my comfort zone, and then I can make friends again with people who are very different, and with the full confidence of knowing that they are different than you are different from them, but you both equally bring something beautiful to the table or to the connection. Now, yeah, I think that that's what this, like, sleep and arcana, and why they kind of came out at the same time or in the same placement over here, is because you have secret gifts that are asleep, and these secret gifts are related to some aspect of who you are, that wasn't readily apparent to you. It was kind of hiding for a while, and these gifts are magic, basically, literally or figuratively. But arcana, like, arcana brings the connotation of lesser known powerful magic, that only a select few, only very few will ever know in their lifetime, and even fewer will ever master. So, and with the little, like, hermit shell and the little hermit shell and the bear asleep in the seed, is like, together these are telling me that you may be a late bloomer, so to speak. You may be someone who takes a very long time to come to terms with who you are, but that journey is very worthwhile. And when you have come to this King of Cups place where you accept yourself wholly and unconditionally, then your real power shines. Your real gifts really start to take off. And that's when you're going to start seeing. It's interesting because you're going to start seeing, once that happens, you're going to start seeing lots of like creativity, lots of material rewards, spiritual rewards, friendships and all this sort of thing. So whenever you come into the fullness of yourself and your power, you're going to start seeing those rewards, but those rewards are not where the achievement is felt. The achievement is felt here in this King of Cups, in the like, I fully and wholly love and accept myself. Now, child here is again, I think, relating to that something deep happened in childhood that hurt very much, and looking back to be gentle with this part of yourself and this part of your life is kind of your continuous journey, healing journey. Birds, now it's birds and childs with the nest and the egg. So I think yeah, I think you're learning how to speak to, how to give messages to your inner child, um, in a new and different way, where you're kind of undoing the toxic messages that came from this part of your life, and you're learning how to speak to that inner child and kind of reparent yourself to um, to understand what was yours and what was never yours. Like, what was yours are these beautiful gifts and this your own internal power. What was never yours is other people's insecurities and how they leveled them against you. So I think with the birds showing up with two heads, I think that really does show this, like, for a long time, this push and pull, this like trying to rewrite the narrative, trying to reprogram your brain to create new neural pathways to think differently through like cognitive behavioral therapy, through maybe dialectic behavioral therapy, um, just kind of that long-term back and forth of like changing message, um, and to learn again that like double-sightedness of everyone has positive and not as positive qualities, and you get to own all of and the both of those sides of yourself, and both of those sides of yourself are worthwhile and unique, and ultimately what makes you you, and that what makes you you can be beautiful. So I think that's the story of like the timeline of this great achievement in your life. Now I'm gonna do something a little bit experimental, as far as timing, um, and when you might see growth in this area, or when you might see the major kind of shift into this King of Cups energy. So what we're going to do is we're going to roll these for, this goes up to 100. So that's, well, we hope that everyone lives well past 100, but I'm going to keep it at 100 for like human lifespan. So this can show either the point of major achievement, or it can show a point of major injury, or a big turning point. So, and then we'll go into like for astrological signs and months. So here we go. So what age is significant for this journey for pile 1? 30. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because um, whenever I hit my 30s, I did experience like a major shift. That's where most people start having their Saturn return influencing them, or maybe a little bit after, or sorry, maybe a little bit before 30 is when people start having their Saturn return. And then at 30, having gone through that, I know that, for instance, I just felt different. I just felt more whole. I just felt a lot of people report whenever they hit their 30s, come out of their 20s, they're like, yeah, I just feel a lot more mentally, emotionally, and also materially stable than I was in my 20s. In your 20s, and before your 20s, you're probably like reliant a lot on other people, on your parents, on people at school. And then even in your 20s, you can still be very reliant on a lot of other people. And then once you hit your 30s, a lot more people start to experience not only a mental and emotional maturation, like a new stage of maturation, but also are more sustainably able to care for themselves in a material sense. So it makes sense for that to be kind of the major turning point in this journey, where you start to look back and to reclaim the narrative of your life. So we can get here some astrological signs and or months. All right, so we've got 2 and 7. So for astrological signs, that is Taurus and Libra. Oh, that's so perfect. Like, because Taurus and Libra, the planet Venus is very tied to Taurus and Libra, and so it has a lot to do with like love. And Taurus likes to be like very physically and materially comfortable and like self-loving, self-care that way. And Libra really is all about like the theory, the how do I put this? Because I'm a Libra, so I have thoughts about this. Let me think about Libra. Even if you're not very like outwardly social, Libra tends to feel very strongly about the concept of love, and self-love is definitely one of the kinds of concepts of love that that can be very important, or can be highly influenced by Libra energy. So if you have either of these signs in your birth chart, they could be significant for you. Those can point in your birth chart to maybe, I would say, either what house your Taurus or what house your Libra are in, or where your Venus placement is, can give you kind of an idea of it. The house would be the houses of Taurus and Libra, wherever those fall in your chart, would be showing what area of your life that this would kind of play out. And then wherever Venus is the actor in the play, so to speak, of like whenever Venus comes to a particular point in the chart, then it kind of like activates certain narratives and certain things, certain events. So I don't know how many years I don't know how many years it takes for Venus to get into the same spot as your birth chart. Let me look that up real quick. Let me see. Venus return. How many years? Happens about once a year unless yours falls on a retrograde period, which in which it could happen up to 3 times. Okay, so maybe since it happens every year, the Venus return does. Um, Maybe those are just every year you can have an opportunity for that to kind of charge up the places in your natal chart that have kind of the themes of these pains around them. Maybe whenever Venus goes retrograde, it could bring you more of this, more progress in this journey, or like I said, just the areas in which in the houses where Taurus is, or the second house, and where Libra is, or the seventh house, maybe those are areas of all of this taking place. Or, you know, if we're just going based off just months of the calendar, this is February, this is July. So, all things to consider. All right, well, thank you for bearing with me in in my experimental part of this, but I hope that this has been a good reading for you, and that it's been helpful to you. Thank you so much, and if you want to support me, then I don't have at least at the time of filming this, I don't have a private readings shop or setup yet, but what you can do to support me is you can either watch the ads that play in my videos, or you can, whenever you're done with this reading, move the video tracker all the way to the end, and then watch like the last few seconds so that it goes all the way to the end. All right, well, thank you so much, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. Bye. Hello, Pile 2. Welcome to your reading. If you chose the Wild Unknown Tarot and this light purple color, then this is your reading. So I'll just do some shuffling first, and we'll get 6 tarot cards, 2 Lenormand, and 2 of the Earthbound Oracle. So, what is the arc or story of Pile 2's greatest achievement in life, and the timing of the events across the lifespan for Pile 2? Thank you. Whoops. I'll try that again. There we go. have the Daughter of Swords reversed. That is the Page of Swords. The Chariot reversed. The Son of Wands reversed, so the Knight. You have the Seven of Pentacles. The Father of Wands, or the King of Wands. And the Five of Pentacles. So those are your tarot cards. So let's get your Lenormand next. Star and Cloud. Okay. So what will be pile two's greatest achievement in life, and what is the timeline? What is the narrative story and the timeline? Okay. Are we gonna get one more? Let's get one more. Tarot. Okay. What I'm getting here is that your greatest achievement in life and the narrative of such has something to do with hope and with giving either yourself or other people hope. So we have first the Page, or the Daughter of Swords, who might be in childhood very imaginative, very thoughtful, very wanting to know the details of things and how things work, understanding how pieces of information fit together, and just being very curious about the world and what they can learn from the world. Now, I see. Okay. So what's happening here is, like, early in life, I think that there's some kind of rush, or there's this imperative within you, Pile 2, early in life, to kind of rise to greatness or something, some kind of internal drive to become something, maybe to become with the Daughter of Swords reversed, I feel sometimes like that comes with perfectionism. So there might be this, like, drive internally to be perfect, quote unquote, and that leaves you to achieve a lot of, like, success in academics or success in schools, getting good grades, getting kind of those accolades or those external pieces of paper, degrees maybe, that, or certifications that say, yes, I am intelligent, yes, I am hardworking, yes, I am able to learn quickly, yes, I can, and no one, I don't think, maybe someone in your life was like, oh, I don't know, or like doubted you, but I think mostly this pressure is not to prove to somebody else that you were perfect, but to prove to yourself that you can achieve some ideal of either society or of your parents. Maybe there was a lot of pressure put onto you to achieve something in a very specific way. Like if you were told very early on that nothing will be good enough, nothing will be nothing will be good enough. Just period. I was gonna make that sentence something else, but it just came out twice the same way. That nothing will be good enough, and it's like, ouch. Maybe you were given high expectations for, you know what this feels like? Actually, this feels like someone who as a child was put into the like gifted and talented group at school, or the class of gifted and talented, and then from then on you weren't allowed to be a child. You were just you were expected to achieve greatness in absolutely everything that you did. And that, while you were given opportunities that most people were not given, because people recognized something in you and were like, we want to give you opportunities, and you are going to you're going to go great, you're going to go far, you're going to do great things. That's wonderful to be given access to those opportunities, but also it also puts a lot of pressure on you to like, you realize that you were only given these opportunities because you were seen as great at the beginning. You were seen as intelligent. And so you're a lot of people that go through that early childhood, like gifted and talented or perfectionism, like it's almost like this, it gets ingrained in you to be terrified of losing it, to lose that perception of people that you are smart, that perception of people that you are able to do things others can't. So that even comes at your detriment, because people assume that you already know everything and that you already know how to do things. But you're still like a child. You're still in grade school, in middle school, in high school, even in college. But people start to think, oh, well, they're smart. They don't need any help. And that's not true. So you learn kind of to be, you learn how to create your self-fulfilling, self-sustaining, like little perfectionism machine inside of you that is like, okay, keep going and be perfect, and then don't need anything, don't ask for anything, I don't need help, I can do it myself, I can do it myself, I can do it myself, I have to be perfect, I have to maintain this image, or I'll lose all that I have. I'll lose the appreciation, I'll lose the love of my family, I'll lose my scholarship or whatever. I'll lose the honors, the honors that I was going to get in my degree or whatever. Um, and that's what I feel here. I don't know what necessarily, because it's a group reading, it will manifest in different ways for different people. But I feel like that's what this reverse chariot is like, it's the drive to keep going without really knowing where you're going. It's just like, well, people expect this of me, and I have to maintain. Maybe you're a first child, maybe you're an eldest child. So maybe eldest children kind of get a lot of expectations put on them to be perfect and to be mature, and then even to sometimes raise the other siblings in the family, or to set a good example. And it's like, and then as the first child, you see other siblings get a lot more lax treatment, a lot more is forgiven of them because, well, they're younger than, they're younger, and, well, they're the baby. And so then it even more feeds into this idea that you have all of this pressure to be the good one, or perfect, or the responsible one, the one who gets good grades. But it kind of damages your relationship to your inner world, your inner world that wanted to just explore for its own sake, rather than for the sake of showing others what you can do. And I think that because of this dynamic here, some part of you wants to make something creative, to go into the world and to do something brilliant, to do something creative. Maybe you want to be an artist, as your job, how you make money or whatever, your passion, your career. Maybe you want to be an artist. Maybe you want to be an entrepreneur. Maybe you maybe it has nothing to do with, well, I think that it does though, because I think that it does have to do with a little bit of, at least to some degree, it has to do with career because of these expectations, and those expectations, especially put onto you by parents or by the schools, colleges. It A lot of it has to do with like a career focus of like that you're expected to derive your meaning in life from your work, that is what you put all of your energy and life into, and it gives you your money, and it's supposed to also give you your meaning and fulfillment. And it doesn't necessarily always work out that way, but that is the expectation. You see what I'm saying? So I think that that's kind of what at least early on, you're looking for. And I think that because of this drive, it's it's kind of like blindly pushing ahead and pushing ahead and pushing ahead and kind of ignoring aspects of yourself, like obfuscate here, like kind of ignoring burnout, ignoring the signs that you need to pay attention to what you want and what fulfills you rather than what fulfills other people's expectations. We've got Tara here with kind of a psychological bent because it's this surrealist landscape. So as I always think of psychology, the inner landscape. I think you're very imaginative and you're very creative, and people can see that about you. Um, and that drives those expectations. But I think also that it has the ability, this imaginativeness, this inner world, this depth of your inner world that you have. I feel like it also has the tendency to get populated with other people's kind of toxic messaging, unhelpful messaging about who you are. And so I feel like I feel like there's a lot of need to not ignore your internal world just because you're trying to do something outwardly. You need to spend time alone. You need to spend time with yourself. You need to spend time with your thoughts, your own feelings. And if you don't get enough of that time, then you kind of lose sight you lose sight of why you're doing anything. That could lead to mental health issues, depression, and it can lead to burnout of like, what is the meaning behind this? I don't know why I'm struggling so hard. This Luna reflection, I feel like like you need a lot of time alone to figure out where your passions truly are. I think that this Son of Wands, this Knight of Wands, reversed at the beginning, is like you try, maybe earlier in life, you try with one thing that you think, this is what I have to drive myself toward. This is the shining light. This is what I'm heading towards the whole time. This creative thing or this particular thing. This is what success is, and then you either run into burnout and don't get it, don't achieve it the way that you think that you're supposed to, or don't achieve it at all, or you get it and you find out that it's unsatisfactory. It doesn't fulfill you the way that people told you that it would. I feel like this is like running into, like you've built up the pressure so hot and so intense that whenever you get to this point, something bursts and just goes, with that high-pitched noise of air escaping, where it's just like, ah, like some kind of burnout, mental break, or some kind of like, so even if emotionally you can ride through it okay, I think that something goes wrong, or that something is not going to allow you, the balance is off. So something is not allowing you to get everything out of this experience that you were expecting, and it's very frustrating. Maybe I keep thinking of like YouTubers apologizing. I keep thinking of YouTube apologizing videos of like, maybe because you in the beginning ignored aspects of yourself and were only looking toward one kind of success, you kind of neglected other parts of areas that you needed to grow. And so then whenever people do that, sometimes they run into an issue where it's like they have built a small something, but then because they've neglected to grow in other ways of their life, in other ways of their mental and emotional maturity, other ways of interconnection with people, other ways of acknowledging what their true needs are, and what, just they have. Sometimes whenever people for a very long time ignore self-awareness, sometimes they run into a thing of, oops, I in this moment, whenever I thought things were going well, I said something stupid, I said something that was offensive, I said something that I didn't know was a problem, I did something that I didn't know was a problem. And it's, everybody makes mistakes, but I think that if you have not gained the experience and the maturity of how to handle when you make a mistake, then that can lead to a big like moment. Like you don't know how to navigate not being perfect because you've expected perfection of yourself for so long that maybe, you know, depending on what struggles you've come across before this big moment, will determine, I guess, how you get through this, and how smoothly you ride through the consequences of making a mistake, and how well and how gracefully you recover from a mistake. The reason I thought of like YouTubers apologizing is, often YouTubers apologizing, it's not a very graceful example of recovering from a mistake. It's kind of a big to do and big blow up of like, did you see what they said? Did you see what they did? And then they make an apology video that is basically like, I've never done anything wrong in my life, so I'm sorry if you're upset. And it's like, oh my god, this isn't an apology, this isn't taking accountability, this isn't mature, oh my god. So that's a very ungraceful example of trying to recover from a mistake. So that's what you'd like to avoid, probably. But I feel like this kind of pressure cooker situation has this pressure cooker situation either has or will lead you to understand patience, both with yourself in not being perfect, but also patience in that anything worth making, worth doing, is worth patiently building it right. Not kind of things that are stable and sustainable, and that are well done, well tested, things that are going to have longevity, and things that are going to be quality, are worth taking the time to make sure that they are sustainable and quality. So I was thinking, I have an example. So I've been playing the game Don't Starve, or the Together version that's multiplayer, but I watched a video. um, I'll have to link the video that I'm referencing, in the description. But I watched a video by someone here on YouTube that discussed the timeline of the creation of the game. and how it started from like a browser game to its first release on Steam to its kind of updates, all the updates across the time, and then it's going into the multiplayer version of it. And throughout the whole development of this game, which is just an example, but throughout the whole development of this game, the developers, they started with this envisioning this idea of the game and what it was going to be, turned out something completely different in the end. But that's okay. And then they had all of these cool ideas that they wanted to implement here and here and here, all these cool ideas and these tweaks and changes to account for game balance and stuff. And then they would get their feedback from their beta testers, from people that were playing the game and telling them how it was going, or the data that they were collecting on the beta testers, and they would reassess things, and they would go, oh, okay, so that's not working out how we thought it would, so they changed some things. People aren't enjoying this as much as we thought they would, they're enjoying this other thing, and so they changed some things. People are really doing this in the game, and we don't really want the game to be about that. We want to encourage this other kind of gameplay, so they changed some things. And it's this constant process of, one, no one is doing it alone. The developers are, like, two people were mentioned as the main developers, right? I forget, but they were the main developers, but those main developers couldn't anticipate the things that all of their beta testers were saying and were encountering. Like, if they didn't have all those beta testers going, here's a thing that's happening, 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 can you fix this, we don't like this, we do like this, all of that information helped them make a much better game, very different from what it had originally been conceptualized as. And and in and in the end, they, like, I think that Don't Starve and Don't Starve Together are very polished and very balanced and very great games. So anyway, coming back to what that has to do about your reading, right? So I think that this patience, this growing over time, that was what I was trying to illustrate with the, like, they started all the way back. I was trying to place when I had first encountered Don't Starve in my memory, in my life, and it was like 2013. And then, so I was trying to place in this timeline of how long it had been since the beginning conceptualization of the game to when I had encountered it. And there were so many years of just, like, tweaking and editing and tweaking and editing and tweaking and editing and changing and updates and updates and updates and updates and feedback and updates, long before, years before, I had even encountered the game for the first time in 2013. So, and by then, it was such a very quality game. So, what I'm trying to illustrate is that beautiful, wonderful things, quality things, are not made overnight. And they don't start out perfect. And they're usually not done alone. So, this pressure on yourself to be absolutely perfect is keeping you from creating the ultimate vision that you want. And I think that that's one of the major arcs of achievement in your life, is realizing that process of you can have creative vision, you can have hope or inspiration for a thing, and you can have this, like, wonderful imagination about the thing, but being able to bring it into reality, into the world, thinking about a thing and imagining it, how great would that be? You get a lot of excitement, you get a lot of happy feeling, and for some people, I have this problem myself, thinking about the thing in the future is almost as delicious and rewarding. Gives you that good serotonin and dopamine reward chemical. It almost gives you as much reward thinking about it in the idealized way, then it almost gives you the same amount as having the finished product in your hand. And that's a very difficult thing to navigate when things take time, things take consistent effort. You don't just have the idea, plant the seed. You have to continually work toward it over time. So I think that the main achievement of this arc of your life that it's portraying here is the achievement of learning how to achieve and what to achieve. Because um, this thing here that didn't work out so well ran into a problem, and then you had to like figure out how to navigate that, ends up becoming this like dynamic and powerful thing that it becomes quality. I think you become someone who can inspire other people as well. Maybe you inspire a team to work with you toward your vision. Maybe you inspire others to grow and develop. Maybe you get not only um, great inspiration for artistic masterpieces, but you also work toward actually bringing them to life. I think part of your journey is navigating the disappointment that not only are you not perfect, but the world is not perfect. And I think that you're someone who's very prone to disillusionment because you hold yourself to such a high standard in life, and you don't cut yourself any breaks, and you don't allow yourself any wiggle room, that can lead sometimes to harsh judgment of others and high expectations of the world at large, the world in general, to come through for you. And that just doesn't always work out. And so some of your trouble spots, I think, are going to be, you know, trouble spots along the creation of this, whatever this thing is, this magnum opus here, this great feeling of achievement. Your trouble spots to feeling that achievement is going to be navigating mistakes, navigating where things don't go the way that you planned or the way that you envisioned, and learning that things can be beautiful anyway. Now, I feel like there's something more here. Let me think a second. I think also here with the Five of Pentacles, I think you might also realize that what you're passionate about and what you want to create and what you're inspired to create is not necessarily going to get you the fame and the fortune and the accolades that you once thought that you wanted, or that you once thought you should go for. That what ends up fulfilling you doesn't necessarily translate into huge swaths of people appreciating you. But enough people will. Enough and the right people for what you're making will. And there's this maturity that has to happen around knowing whose opinion matters, is what I'm feeling, is what I'm hearing. Whose opinion matters? First, your opinion matters of yourself and your product and whatever. or your, your creation, your idea, your inspiration. Your opinion matters about you. And in getting feedback about what you're creating, discerning whose expertise or whose experiences and whose information is more valuable to making that quality thing. Finding the right people who, either the right team or the right audience for what you're trying to create, and that aligns with the deeper meaning that you derive from this creative process. So your greatest achievement in life is going to be all of those things: the moving away from perfectionism, learning how to navigate mistakes, the learning patience to ultimately create this big creative endeavor. That this will feel like such a culmination of all of the skills that you've learned, and this will be sort of through your work, it will reflect your passion and your continuing to hope, you're continuing to have vision, and you will see how your creation affects other people. They may not know the whole story of how you got there and made that thing, but they will love that thing, and that in itself will be worthwhile. That will feel like achievement, that you have made such a difference in people's lives for the better with this thing that you've created. Even if they don't know who you are or how to thank you, or to just knowing that it has made an impact will be more than enough. All right, so that's all for that part. Now I'm going to get some things regarding timing. Here I have, this goes up to 100. So I know that we hope that you will live past 100, but but we're going to get from baby to 100. We're going to get kind of when in your life that this major shift will either start taking place, or when you'll start feeling that major sense of achievement. Okay, so 30. We're going to roll this one again. All right, 35, and before it was like 36, so we'll just take 35, 36. So it could be that, like I said, that you start to get past this first stage and you start to grow more. Like maybe your big burnout might be just before or just at 35. Like I told pile 1 that actually came up in the like 30s. Just before 30 is when people have their major Saturn return. So like maybe your major Saturn return has this energy in it of like the first combustible mistake. Whoops, something's on fire. And then around this time, 35, 36, you start to, you've been recovering, you start to learn these more patient ways of doing things, more quality ways of doing things, just taking into account everything in order to make the better end result. And then you start to shift from that into this, now I'm creating the thing that I'm meant to create. Now I'm creating the thing that feels like accomplishment around this age. Now for astrological signs, we will get, I don't know why I closed my book over here. Hold on. We're going to get some astrological signs to help with timing. Okay. So I've got 12-sided dice here. So these can either show up as the astrological signs and the timing of those signs, or it can show up as a major transit in one of your houses in astrology, your natal chart, or it can show up as a particular month. So, all right, so we've got 8 and 2. So for astrological signs, 2 is Taurus and 8 is Scorpio. Yeah, Scorpio, this does have a big like Scorpio energy, doesn't it? Like some kind of intense, like self-critical drive to transform something, to create something, to get something right. Taurus. Or this could be like instead of Taurus and Scorpio, this can be the 2nd house and the 8th house. So 2nd house is like material things or your body or money. So again, with the like, maybe it's not necessarily going to get you a lot of money or a lot of recognition like you originally thought. You know, you're not going to be making a doctor's salary, but that you'll have enough, you'll be comfortable. And then with Scorpio in the 8th house is about taboos, innovation, and kind of this like psychic connection and or seeing the value in things that are normally considered taboo, and so then you can use those things, bring those things into a way that they suit what you're making, and because most of the time it's taboo, but you figured out a way to bring it into your creation, then it's new, it's exciting, it's people are like, it's risque, and it's wow, I didn't know that was possible. Can we do that? And then, well, it doesn't matter because you've already done it, you know? You've already done it and people love it. So then they find out that this is something that's possible and it doesn't have to be taboo. Or let's see, so as far as just months on the calendar, this could be either February or August. So it could also be that you start this process of the shift into this King of Wands, the Father of Wands energy, in either the months of February or August, or you have a big break. You could, in one of these months, have this event and or a burnout in one of these events at a major point in your life. Or it can be a transit. The timing can happen of one of these things in a transit of either Venus or Pluto, I believe, or Mars. So Venus or Mars. Probably Pluto has to do with like power, death, taboo, yeah. So depending on what you're creating, I think will determine like whether it has more to do with the transits of Pluto and or Mars, especially like how far-reaching, how influential your creation is. If it's very influential, you know, because things can be very influential without necessarily people getting a lot of credit for it necessarily. The important people will know, but maybe you won't like be famous famous. Um, maybe it's some like scientific uh, discovery. If it's something that changes like how society operates or how a field of study operates, or some big influential thing on that scale, like the scale of the world, then it could be a transit of Pluto maybe, um, especially if it has to do with big worldly transitions or death or taboo, or if it's a Venus transition, from a Venus transition that is the timing of this thing, then it can be more focused on like the allowing yourself to not be perfect. It's because that's more related to your comfort in yourself, your self-love a little bit. Self-love isn't like overly pronounced in this reading, but there's little hints of it. Or give me 1 second. How to phrase this? Or it can be, if it's a Venus transition, it can also be like coming to peace with that you're not going to necessarily make a ton of money, but that you're going to make enough that you're going to be okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for tuning into your reading pile 2. I know I kind of got long-winded there, so I apologize. I don't currently have a place where I'm doing, or a shop that I'm doing private readings, but maybe that will come in the future. For now, the best way that you can support me is to watch the ads that play in my videos, or once you're done watching this one, you can let the rest of the video play out while you do something else. You can leave the video to play while you go and do your dishes. I actually do that a lot, mostly because I have ADHD, but just to get, if you wanted to support me and you're not doing anything, you can let a video play while you go and do something else, and then that gives me the ad watches and then the watch time. So, thank you so much, and again, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you for your tuning into the reading. Bye! Hello, Pile 3. Welcome to your reading. If you chose the Modern Witch Tarot and the teal, or bubbly blue, it says, blue-green color, then this is the reading for you. So let's first shuffle your tarot cards. So we'll pull 6 tarot cards, 2 Lenormand, and I've been pulling 3 kind of by accident. I was going to just pull 2 of the Earthbound Oracle, but for both piles it ended up 3. So we'll just do 3 for yours as well. Oh my. So what is pile 3's greatest achievement in life? What is the arc or story of that achievement? Focusing on how they're going to feel that achievement, especially. What is the arc or story of that achievement across the lifespan? And what is the timing? Okay. All right. So we have the Tower reversed. Whew. Okay. The Hermit. The High Priestess. The Emperor. My goodness, this has been all major arcana so far. Six of Wands. And another major arcana, the Hanged One. All right, I'm excited. Let's get into what this is about. So let's choose your Lenormand cards. Cross and scythe. I'm already seeing one possibility here. We'll see if the oracle cards corroborate anything that I'm seeing. Okay. Illuminate. Cycle. Fear. Oh my goodness. Okay, okay. All right. So the Tower coming up very front and center, first thing. And then the Hermit, followed by these very powerful major arcana. I'm getting a heavy, heavy sense that one of your greatest achievements in life is learning how to say no. No to other people that you love or that you respect, other people that love you, saying no. I care about you, but I don't want that. Thank you, but I don't want that. I don't need that. I feel like your greatest achievement, or one of your greatest achievements throughout your lifespan, will be creating boundaries with other people and living your own life for yourself. Now, for some of you, I feel like there's some kind of early traumatic event that happens for you in your life, or that happened with the High Priestess and the Emperor coming up here. It could have been parental abuse. With the Cross over here, it could have been spiritual abuse, or it could have been both. But I feel like because of these things that happened, a lot of your life is lived in fear of a similar thing happening again, or fear of are particular influential people in your life going to harm you. And it's with this fear and rabbit, it tells me of like, or I guess this is a hare because their legs are really, really long. But with fear in this hare, I feel like there's a hypervigilance that comes from a traumatic event. And needing to remove yourself from the influences that hurt you or could re-hurt you. Either that's maybe a separation from a church or a spiritual group. Maybe you grew up in a cult. Maybe you grew up in not a cult, but like a very toxic religious community. You could have grown up in a very hateful religious community, or that told you that something about you wasn't good enough. With this, I feel like, you know what I'm thinking of is the term reparenting, because it seems like with this early traumatic event or this early pain, the world feeling unstable, where you don't know how to balance yourself, you don't know who or what to trust. It feels like the constant fear of hell, maybe in a religious context, or the constant fear of angering a parent, where you don't know where you stand at any moment. Somebody could revoke your safety, is what this is feeling like to me. And I also think of how within Christianity, at the very least, within Christianity, there's a lot of the idea that there's like God the Father, and there's this kind of toxic interplay between Christianity and toxic masculinity and patriarchy, and how God in the Christian tradition is like parentified, and that also can go the other way of, especially a father can in certain contexts or in certain cultures or in certain religious communities wield a lot of oppressive power, because they think of themselves and the community thinks of the fathers like God. So maybe with Scythe here underneath Cross, I feel kind of like it does give me very like patriarchal cult vibes a little bit. It because of the scythe of like harvesting the wheat. I think of that like go forth and multiply, the like procreate, so like this very deeply patriarchal spread your seed bullshit, of like just have so many children, but don't give a shit about, but don't give a shit about, their well-being, or how healthy they are mentally and emotionally. Just, no matter how much trauma you inflict upon them, just go and have a bunch of babies, no matter who's going to end up raising them. Like it's very exploitative, and it's very like making human beings into resources to then be used in this oppressive way. So I'm not saying that like, I do have my particular um, criticisms of parts of Christianity or certain manifestations of Christianity, but I don't particularly, like, I don't hate Christianity. I just feel kind of ambivalent about it. I'm ironically I'm going ironically, in order to become a spiritual counselor, I do have to go and get a degree that I'm planning to go and get at a Christian seminary, at a Presbyterian seminary of all things. So, so all of this to say, I have my particular criticisms of Christianity, or at least ways that some of it can play out, especially in the United States, where there's this political tie between especially Southern conservative, um, primarily Christian. It's just a toxic environment. That's all I'm going to say. We're not going to get into that. Anyway, my point being, it doesn't, this isn't to say that, if you feel like you recenter. I feel like the way that people in your life that were in a position of authority or in a position where they were supposed to care for you, whether that be God or the church or your parents or a community of people, a culture of people, whatever. People that you looked up to, or people that were supposed to take care of you, people that should have protected you from whatever this is, failed you in your life. With this being so influential to you from a very early age, it makes sense that one of your biggest achievements in life is to reclaim yourself by saying no. Now, at the beginning, you may draw a really hard line of like, I don't want any of that in my life. I don't want any of this in my life. I don't want any spirituality. I don't want any, I don't want to talk to my parents ever. Like, I don't want to deal with my family. I don't want to. So, in learning how to say no and in learning how to reclaim your space and your well being, your sense of balance, learning how to draw healthy boundaries. Sometimes we can draw, if we're inexperienced, like, we can draw a really hard line of like, never again, because I never want to experience this again. So never again. Not at all. Never again. And it's meant to keep you safe. And in this beginning, it can feel kind of all or nothing. Like, either if you need to learn better how to say no and to draw any sort of boundary, like if people are constantly taking advantage of you in your life and you have to learn over time how to say no at all, because saying no at all, even in the slightest way, over the slightest thing, no, I can't do that today, I need to do it tomorrow. If that just feels absolutely unacceptable or unreasonable to the person you need to set boundaries with, you can be forced into this mindset of setting a boundary is all or nothing. And if I set a boundary at all, then this person throws a fit. And one of the most important things that I learned about setting boundaries is that just because a person reacts negatively to a boundary that you set does not mean that you should not have set it. In fact, setting a boundary and saying, no, you may not talk to me that way, or no, I will not do that for you. No, I will not give you this. No, I will not accept, X, Y, or Z behavior from you, and if you continue to do it, I will leave. That instead of, if they throw a fit, instead of thinking, oh, well, they're angry at me, so I shouldn't have set that boundary. No, in fact, if they get angry over a boundary, it often means that that boundary was even more needed, because that person is getting angry because they assumed and expected something of you that was not theirs to assume or expect from you. That they were taking something from you that was not theirs. And that's why they're getting angry, is because they feel entitled to it. They feel entitled to something from you. I feel like this Hermit card is really showing the value of alone, of the safety of being alone, for you at least, for a period of your life. Maybe you were able kind of passively to set boundaries. If you learned that you didn't have to confront people about boundaries if you just left the situation, and then people could ask or expect less of you because you just weren't there for them to think about or to interact with. Maybe you spent a lot of time alone in your room as a child trying to avoid a toxic parent. Maybe you didn't have a lot of friends growing up because you didn't know how to say no to people, and so instead you just retreated into your inner space. Maybe you weren't able to make friends because people didn't understand the very traumatic things that you had gone through early in life. They just couldn't relate to the depth of pain that you'd experienced, and they didn't understand when you tried to express it. And then also, by contrast, if and when you learned that you could set a boundary and say no, sometimes whenever people learn to do that at the very beginning, they set a very harsh line, a very hard boundary of no, absolutely not, never, and don't speak to me ever again. Which is fine. which is fine. But again, it's very all or nothing. It's never speak to me or my son ever again. How dare you speak to me? And sometimes there can be ways to set healthy boundaries that protect you and protect your energy, protect what is yours from other people's sense of entitlement, that are not never speak to me again. But if you never want to speak to that person again, that's also okay. I'm just saying that there's ways to, whenever you start to feel safer, to allow a little bit of nuance, but it can take some time to get there. Now, with the High Priestess and the Emperor coming up, I feel like this is allowing these experiences that were deeply painful to motivate you to grow. And any way that adults in your life failed you as a child, it kind of, in a way, motivates you to be a better person than them or better adult than them. Learning boundaries, learning that you are entitled to your own life and you get to decide how to live it. There's kind of that reparenting of your own personal autonomy, your own personal life choices that you get to decide how to live. And then there's the reparenting of knowing that you're a worthwhile person and that you deserve your own love and care. There's the reparenting of the thought patterns in your mind of how you talk to yourself. A lot of how we talk to ourselves internally, whether we want it to or not, it's just kind of, unless you get therapy about it, or a lot of us talk to ourselves internally the way that our parents talked to us as a child. So reparenting can be a process of stopping the toxic messages of how you talk to yourself internally, and learning a new way to think, learning a new, I said in one of the previous piles, words are failing me. I'm so sorry. Give me 1 second. How to create new neural pathways, to rewrite narratives of how people told you to think about yourself as a child. So now you start to really take time to tell your inner child that you are safe, that you're not in that situation anymore, that the things that people told you as a child are not true, and actually you can, as an adult now with perspective, you can decide to help your inner child to relearn how to be a child, how to be more free, how to be more open, how to explore the world without being afraid, because you're no longer in this situation. Now, I feel like you may resist seeing this achievement in yourself. It may be very difficult for you to see how much you've grown over time, especially if you're still in pain, if you're still plagued by some of those memories or some of those thoughts that hurt you. It can take you a long time to see how much you have achieved in life, and that your achievement has been primarily internal, that you have grown in very adverse conditions, and you have healed to an extent that you can reclaim the autonomy of your life, and that you can reclaim your sense of knowing about yourself, and you can reclaim your sense of safety. Your perspectives matter. And I think that maybe part of this journey for you is also getting outside help, with therapy, or even with the Hanged One, altered states of consciousness. Like, maybe you can help soothe your nervous system with learning self-regulation techniques. Maybe you can learn grounding techniques that help you to feel safer. Neuro-linguistic programming is a phrase that's coming to mind. And just or what are those body-based therapies? EMDR and somatic experiencing, things that allow you to calm your nervous system so that you can be more able to be grounded and soothed in a conflict that feels very all or nothing, life or death, the more that you're able to help your nervous system feel safe, feel calm, the more you're able to stand your ground and say what you want and what you don't want. So I think that finding professional help or guidance about those things can be very helpful for you. And maybe a therapist or a spiritual counselor if you are so inclined, and or like EMDR specialist, somatic experiencing specialist, or something along those lines, or even the hanged one, in a more not safe for work sense. Maybe this is maybe you maybe you get into bondage or not. I'm trying to be euphemistic here, but something that allows your nervous system to go into an altered state that then allows you to feel very calm while intense things are happening to you. To then reclaim your sense of what you can endure. I think that was very tactful of me. And then with Illuminate and Cycle over here. With Illuminate and Cycle, I feel like this is like learning cycles of abuse, learning how people kind of trap you in, or try to trap you in their little abuse game, where they're manipulative. They're trying to keep you coming back to them. They're trying to keep control of you. So one of your major achievements over this lifetime is learning to see through, like intuitively to see through when people are trying to do that. And that's also how you create safety, is not just by learning boundaries, but also learning to recognize when people are trying to do it again. And you start being able to, like, I can catch that bullshit from a mile away. I can see it coming. I know exactly what that is. And you're not going to pull that over on me. Absolutely not. Just because you learn over time. You have adult learning and mental capacities now that you didn't have as a child. So you're not going to run into the same situation again. So you need to be able to tell your inner child, hey, I know that was really rough. I know that was really awful. It's not going to happen to you again. You know why? Because I'm an adult now and I can protect us now. I know what it looks like when someone is trying to do this, and so I can keep us away from that person. I have the skills now to set boundaries, and I have the skills now to leave situations of abuse like that, and we're not going to be harmed by those people ever again. Now, another thing that a professional can help with is increasing your sense of accomplishment. They can reflect back to you, like, things that you talk about, ways that you change, that they see you changing over time. You've built this relationship with, like, a therapist, and they see changes in your thought patterns, and they see changes in your outlook and your emotional stability and well-being, and they can show you, hey, a few months ago you were talking like this, and now you're talking like this. And a few months ago you were afraid of this, and now you're not afraid of that anymore. Isn't that wonderful? So they can kind of show you your progress as well. And I think that this is a lifelong healing journey for you. Not that it's always going to be the same amount of pain forever. The pain will lessen over time as you go through the healing process. But I think that healing process is going to, the experience of having gone through that healing process, let's say, the experience of having gone through that healing process will stay with you and will be a part of you for possibly for your entire life. And because of that, I think that's one of the reasons why it's maybe so difficult for you to feel accomplishment or to feel achievement about this healing journey. But it doesn't make it any less of an amazing thing to heal from past hurt. If it takes you all of your life, it's still worthwhile and worth doing. It's still an intensely self-loving act to heal yourself, or to go on this journey of healing, to learn how to reclaim yourself, to learn to protect your inner child, to learn to reclaim your life and how you want to live it. It's intensely worthwhile, and you don't have to judge your life or your journey based on anybody else's. And I hope that you don't, because they didn't go through the same things that you went through. They didn't go through the same things that you went through, so how can you compare yourself to them? You are exactly where you need to be in your life journey. You're not behind. You're not wasting any time. You're not wasting anything. You are doing what you need to do for yourself, for your well-being, and that is enough. So you deserve to feel accomplishment about that. It's very hard, and the universe, spirit, God, whatever, your gods, your spiritual team, recognize how much effort that it takes for you, and recognize how much work you do. So they're celebrating your successes, and you get to do that too. You deserve to celebrate your successes too. All right, so we're going to get some information about timing. So for major events or major shifts into this like new perspective of the new perspective of being safe, of being able to live your life for yourself rather than for other people, and to be safe to do so. We're going to get timing for that shift and or some other major event or part of your life in this achievement. $11. So it could be that something happened when you were 11. It could be 11 years old that you realized that something wasn't right. Or it could be 11 years from now that you finally feel like, I've done my healing to the majority of my healing that I needed to do. I'm able to let this go, or I'm able to live past this. I'm able to take my life in my hands, and I feel completely free to do so. I know that may seem like a long time, 11 years, but remember that it won't feel the same intensity in every moment. It won't feel the same amount of pain the whole time. So, let's also, for timing, these are 12-sided dice, so we're going to get astrological signs for timing, and also months and/or months potentially. So, so 3 and 1. So 1 is either Aries, 3 is Gemini. First house is sense of self, reclaiming your sense of self, potentially. 3 is, third house is communication. So that goes along the lines of like saying no, communicating boundaries. First month is January, third month is March. And then the months for Aries season are March through April, and the months for Gemini season are May through June. So any of those things might be relevant to the timing of this major shift for you. As far as timing of like major transits across your natal chart, this could be see Gemini, Mercury. I don't feel like Mercury transits necessarily are going to Mercury and Mars. Maybe there could be like a major transit or a major thing in your birth chart that has Mercury and Mars together, or that has some interplay between those two luminaries, where those two planets, wherein Mercury, communication, Mars, force of will, so again creates communicating boundaries. You could have a north node in Aries or Gemini. Yeah. I'm not really getting anything else from that, so I guess that is it for your reading. Okay, well, or your ascendant, maybe. Your first house or your ascendant. Yeah, I'm not sure what that's saying, but anyway, thank you so much for tuning into your reading, Pile 3. I hope that this was helpful in some way. One more thing that I want to say here is that cross with Scythe, I feel like even though you have had lots of burdens in your life, lots of difficult things to go through, Scythe here can also mean that in the end, you are able to harvest, to take back what will sustain you, what will nourish you. That it's not that your traumas don't make you who you are, and your traumas don't give you gifts. I would never say something like that. I don't believe that. But healing and loving yourself despite those things is worthwhile and is a powerful thing to do. And healing and loving yourself despite those things will be a gift. Not the event, but you reclaiming yourself. You are a gift to yourself. Your life is a gift to yourself. And you get to determine what you get out of it. There we go. Okay. That's the end of the reading. I was feeling this tension of like there's something more. But we found it. All right. Thank you so much, Pile 3. And thank you for bearing with me about the the new experimental timing portion of this. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Now, if you want to support me, I don't currently have any setup or store for private readings. Maybe it will come in the future. Don't interact with people. Don't interact with people that claim to be me in the comments that are asking to do a reading for you for money. Those are going to be scammers. I would never contact you in the comments to ask to do a reading, a paid reading. That's just not how I roll. So maybe look for a store coming in the future, but for now I don't have one. The way that you can support me is either by watching my ads, doing something else while they play, or if you want to let the entire video play while you're doing something else like dishes or all the stuff that I always avoid if I never want to do any chores. Or if you want to let the video play while you're doing something else, while you're playing a video game, I don't know, then that can help me because it gives me watch time, and then also it gives me the ad watches. All right, well, thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye-bye.